This is Anthony again doing task 2, which is using firewalls. The first part of this task is to make sure that both VM2 and VM3 have access to the internet. So let me go ahead and check on VM2. Make sure that one has internet. So VM2 doesn't have internet. Now, in order to change this, I need to go in here and change a particular file that we did for our first part of the lab, which was this file. So let me make sure that I have it correctly. So pulling up VM2, I'm going to make sure that I can actually see. So let me go ahead and change this file. It's going to pull up a folder. We'll see that the name server is not the correct one. I want to change that to 8.8.8.8. Save it, close it. Let me open up the browser again. And as you can see, VM2 has access to the internet. Now let me go back and make sure that VM3 has access to the internet. VM3, open up a browser. As you see, VM3 has access to the internet. Now, I need to install and enable Telnet services. And this could be done following this guide, which we'll go through over here. So, and I'll start with VM3. The commands to install Telnet are here. So, sudo apt-get install Telnet D. It's going through its installation process. And as you can see, it's done. I can skip step 2, but I will not skip step 3 as given from the directions. Step 3 of this documentation, I need to edit a particular file. So I will go ahead and use my editor. And as you can see, I have already added these instances. So instances 60, log type systemlog auth-priv, host piv, host 2530. So this one's good and already set up. And then I will go on to get it started. So to restart this service, I just want to do sudo cc and as you can see, it's running. So I will go back to VM2 and make sure that Telnet is also started on this machine. So following the same process of installing the Telnet services, that's done. And I just need to check this file. As you can see, it looks identical to the other file I had. Instances equals 60. The syslog is auth-priv, host PID, host, and 2530. And now I just want to make sure that the Telnet service is actually running. So I want to do sudo and I can see Telnet services working on that machine as well. So the next thing I need to do in this assignment is to Telnet from VM2 to VM3 and vice versa. So on VM3, I'll just invoke the command Telnet to VM3. Let me look at my virtual machines, or VM2, let me look at my virtual machines. So I'm on VM3, net2 and net3. I want to telnet to 192.168.2.9. So it's a little tricky. So 192 dot just making sure. So 192.168.2.9. As you can see, I'm connected. It's going to ask for a password. I think I spelled that correctly. Login incorrect. So just to make sure, let me go back to my lab content. It is as you can see, this has successfully performed Telnet services from VM3 to VM2. Now I will go to VM2 to run Telnet services from that to VM3. Log on, password, correct login. Just to make sure I have my spelling correct. Oh, actually, this did work. Just to make sure, I will go back through and do it again. Telnet to VM2, which is I switched. So, sorry about that. I need to make sure that I put the correct login here. So now, you see how it timed out? I need to go back in to get admin and to run my commands, telnet. Make sure that my lab content's right. So where's that at? Go to this one. I don't know why it keeps doing that, but it's boom 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as you can see, the password and the username did work correctly. So now I can successfully telnet from VM1 to VM2. Now my next thing is I want to display the current firewall configurations. I can do that using the same commands as I showed you earlier, which is IP tables dash L dash N dash V. Tables. Make sure when you're running these commands, you have to be in super mode. So IP tables dash L dash N dash. Have a bit of butterfingers, but as you can see, I can show you the IP table configuration of VM2. Let me go to VM3. Make sure that I'm in super mode. And then I want to now, as you can see, I am currently configured and have the firewall showing. And now I will show you the next part of this process. So I'm back. So I have shown you correctly how to display the firewall settings on VM3. On VM2, as you can see, the firewall settings are also displayed. Now, I will also like to perform start and stop and restart commands on the firewalls. So what I will do is perform this, and how I will do this just to make sure that my environment's set up correctly, and look at my network topology. VM3 is going to act as my firewall. So I will go to prevent Telnet services from happening from VM3 to VM2, I will use IP table rules. Oh, actually, before I do that part, I want to make sure I do the restart, stop, and start commands for the firewall, and that can be found using the links that have been provided in here. I actually have those. So you just use the commands. So now I have successfully reconfigured or performed stop, start, and restart on my firewall. So to go back and see the rules, as you can see, no rules here. I will also go perform the same thing on VM2. And now I should be able to see that the rules were restarted for my firewall. Let's check. As you can see, no rules have been set. So I've finished step 4. So to prevent VM3 from doing Telnet to VM2, I want to block the Telnet port, and I also want to block the IP address of VM2. So what I'm going to do is type in IP tables. I'm going to do dash A output dash S for the source. So I could put my source. I might just put dash D for the destination and put in my VM2 destination. So let me look at my environment. So the IP address of VM2 and the same network is 192.168.2.9. I can just plug that in. Say protocol, which is TCP. The port is Telnet-J. I want to reject it. So there's an issue. My command. 1 second. All right, I'm back. So just to check again, I just go ahead and amended the IP address. Let's see if this works. This does not. So, like I always say, syntax can kill you. So I was actually able to set this rule to be done. I did it by saying IP table dash A output destination of VM2, the protocol TCP, the port which is Telnet, and dash J reject. So now let's see if I can Telnet to VM2. So now I will use the Telnet command and I will Telnet to VM2. Connection refused, which means my rule was accepted. So now let me make sure I can do the same thing on VM2 as well. So I'm just going to type in sometimes it's a bit buggy. I'm going to type in IP tables, which looks like my terminal crapped out on me. So let me go ahead and try it again. Log back in as root. So let me go to VM2. to go here. I want to say IP tables -A output -P -D destination. I want to take the destination point, so let me go back to my lab environment. VM3 from VM2 sharing the same subtext. Subnet is 192.168.2.6. So 192.168.2.6, and then I want to say P protocol TCP -D port, which is Telnet -J, which is reject. Now that rule should have been added to my IP table, so now I will try to Telnet. And as you can see, the connection was refused. So now, let's move on to our next step in the lab. So now I prevented VM3 from telnetting to VM2. I prevented VM2 from telnetting to VM3. And so now I will go ahead and open any website on Firefox web browser for VM3. Let's open Firefox. As you can see, it's working, so let's just choose the website. U.edu, Arizona State. The website works. So let's move on to the next part of this. I want to prevent VM3 from visiting external websites using a firewall, and I could choose any website that you would like to block, but I have to keep in mind that some web servers have multiple IP addresses. So let me go ahead and close down that. So that. Bring this over. Let me bring back up my VM3. So first thing I need to do is I need to do a lookup for an IP address. So how I will do that, I will type in host -T www.asu.edu. So since I already set this up before, what I'll end up doing is that's a Telnet anything. So since this rule was already set up before, and I tried to reboot my machine, what I will end up doing in a second is I'm gonna flush my rules for this, and then I will show you how to do this correctly. One second. Well, after doing some investigation, I actually thought that the rule was already in place. That is not the case. In fact, when I was doing this host-T, it was providing me back the address that is associated with asu.edu. So the next step in the process is to find the actual IP address that I'm looking for. And so that is done by using this command, who is 104.16.51.14 rape. So I want the CIDR address, which is 104.16.0.0 on port 12. So to block the IP address of that, I would just want to say, I just want to write in IP tables -a output -p TCP -d 104.16.51 actually 104.16.0.0 \12. Then I want to drop that. And now this rule should be added to my table. I can check that by typing in this command. And as you can see, that it has been added to my table. Now, going back to directions, it says it wants me to prevent this. So it wants me to show that it's been prevented. I can go to the website, issue.edu, and it's not blocked. So it could be the fact that there's 2 IP addresses associated with this website, and so maybe I should check both of those. So let me check and I'll get right back.